Okay. Hey, everybody, we're live with my longtime friend, Leigh Steinberg. Leigh, first of all, congratulations on everything, but this is a milestone moment because a person that you and I have both known for a long time, Gavin Newsom's governor of California, and it looks like he's pulled a wild hat trick of signing a bill that by 2023 will allow college athletes, not pro, to gain money for the use of their likeness and to play sports. Am I wrong?
You're right. First of all, let's emphasize it doesn't go into effect until 2023, which means that the stage is set for a whole lot of discussion before that date. As California goes, so goes the nation, so that so much of what we pass as legislation is able to impact the rest of the country because it sets trends. So let's take a look at college sports now. At this particular point, what happens is if you send an athlete from a disadvantaged background to a major college campus, they actually may be living below the standard of living of their non-athletic peers. And that's because they're forced to live on scholarship. And let's say you're going to school at UCLA. UCLA happens to be in the middle of Brentwood, Beverly Hills, Bel Air, and Holmby Hills, which are extremely rich areas, so they can't live close to school. A normal student who's having problems, and by that I mean that it's really hard to find a good rent apartment. Mm-hmm. And then if you do live off campus, you have to drive to school, and the university doesn't provide cars. So what you have is a situation where these athletes look and they see the tremendous crowds in the stadium. They read about the amazing television contracts that are signed. They actually see their number being sold on a jersey or a T-shirt in the student store. They get none of that. What they get is a scholarship check. Now there's certain universities that do attendance clauses, which can add $3,000 to $5,000 on. But basically, they look around and they see that other students can work during the school year and during the summer to supplement their income, or some of them get allowances. And we're not talking about paying them like the Sultan of Brunei. This will only impact a very narrow group of players because it's very few players who have enough brand at the collegiate level to really help them. College basketball has one and done, so it's much harder. It's not like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, or Bill Walton, or Michael Jordan, who you followed for 4 years on the campus. They're there for one season and they're gone. So what this would do is alleviate the current problem, because when the star athlete realizes that he didn't have enough money to have access to a car, there was a student at UCLA who complained famously that by the end of the month they were on top ramen, he and the other athletes in their apartment. What they do is they're open to taking money from agents or taking money from alums, and both of which are NCAA violations. Now, the NCAA makes over $1 billion a year in revenues, which it doesn't share with actual students. Colleges get some of that, but not students. In totality, college sports generates almost $15 billion a year. So we're talking about big money, and now you have athletes who may not be able to call home because of phone bills, may not be able to do those little things. So this will affect only superstars on the college campus.
I like your take on how this could impact women's sports, because some people say, oh, it means the end of Title IX. But when I first read the bill, at least the basic description, it seemed to me that, just to say it out loud, women are into fashion in college, a woman athlete could make money pushing her particular brand of fashion while she's playing the sport. Am I having that wrong? I mean, it opens up a whole new avenue for a woman athlete who has a profile to actually establish her brand at an early age. Am I wrong?
This is particularly an issue for Olympic athletes because a ice skater, Carrie Strug was going to Stanford, an ice skater, Missy Franklin or Natalie Coughlin at Cal. They're in the Olympics. They have huge name recognition. So the bill is neutral on gender. Now, whatever you do in scholarship or other monies, if you give certain amenities to a certain amount of male athletes, then under Title IX, you have to do the equal number of female athletes. But this bill reads gender neutral to me, so there actually are some female athletes on the college campus who will benefit from this.
That's exciting because prior to this, across the board, female athletes are always getting the short end of the stick, and in some cases being outed and fined and, the worst of it we all do. But it's a new day today, it sounds like,
Well, there's women's tennis, there's women's golf, there's women's volleyball, to say nothing of Olympic sports, which are one of the great marketing environments that we have. So this will impact both people. And then people might argue, Zennie, that the difficulty here is it's only going to affect superstar athletes. But that's exactly the group who step outside right now. That's Reggie Bush at USC. That's major superstars. I mean, if you want to think of this in the right way, it's probably only going to be, forget how he's played, but the Johnny Manziel types it might be a football quarterback. It could be a golfer or a tennis player. And we're not changing a whole system. And that we are, its time has come.
Hey, also,
so I applaud the two state senators from California who pushed this bill. And I compliment Gavin Newsom on signing it. And again, we have our own standards for emissions. We have our own way we treat animals that are used for food. We have all sorts of things here that make sense, and then eventually they're adopted.
And I can't forget mentioning my friend Nancy Skinner, who just recently celebrated her birthday, is running for re-election. She's one of the persons who put that bill together and worked on it for quite some time. Also, how does this change? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, kudos to Nancy Skinner because generally politicians don't put a lot of effort into caring about the problems of athletes at the collegiate level, where they still have jurisdiction. I mean, we have public universities that take state money, so plaudits for her also.
Also, how does this impact your industry? Because it seems to me, I'm just going to share with you a thought experiment I was playing out, wherein an enterprising agency organization manages to sign up college athletes and then with an eye toward the NFL draft so they can actually make pre-deals before the draft for those players in its stable. Is that so? How would that work?
So let's talk about the concept of what keeps a college athlete eligible under NCAA rules. There are only two rules. One is that they can't accept something that relate to agents. They can't accept something of value from an agent, nor can they sign. So when the gun goes off at the end of the last game in NCAAs, or teams don't make it the last game of the season in basketball, or the last game of the season in the college football season, or the bowl game that certain colleges play in. Once that's done, they no longer have eligibility. And so that pre-draft concept doesn't violate any NCAA regulations. So we do deals with shoe companies. We do deals with card deals, sometimes car deals. Before that, what will have to be sorted out, however, is does this anticipate those collegiate athletes who have that status and might be eligible to attract advertisers? Does hiring an agent to negotiate those deals? It clearly goes against NCAA regulations right now, and I haven't seen yet, and I'm not sure they've thought out how you deal with the agent question.
Have you heard yet from the governor's office about any kind of maybe task force to sort out these issues going forward?
We have 3 years. I haven't. I've been speaking out loudly because the system's never made any sense to me.
Right.
Remember that we're talking about college athletics, and what happens now is there are a large number of collegiate athletes who are only on campus as a way station to get to the pros. In other words, we all venerate college education. We all would like every young person to understand the value, the transience of their sports career, the need for second career. And, the big stereotype is, so someone comes out early for a draft, they don't have an education, they don't make it, and the rest of it. But I've said this to you before. The obligation to have a college education is not written in the Constitution. In other words, people choose not to go to college for all sorts of reasons, or to go and never graduate for all sorts of reasons. They're some of the most successful people out there. So I wish every athlete would do it, but they don't do it now. So then what you have is this captive group on campus. And I would change the system to allow the NBA to take players straight out of high school and the NFL to take them straight out of high school too. As a practical matter, no high school type running back is probably going to have the physicality to make it in the NFL, and free enterprise will work it out. So when those first people prematurely go into a draft, have no education, they fail, the word will get out to younger players. But so what it creates is a system where you don't really have student athletes. How many one and done players ever come back and matriculate? Basically, what they do is they take the classes they need to stay eligible during the season they're playing, and then that's probably it for them in school. So we'd love them all to be scholars, but that's not the situation now. And what you want to do is encourage people to go to college. And SB 206 does that because it offers another avenue, again, not to treat someone like a Raja, or a rock superstar, but to just give them enough money to pay for the things that every other student needs to pay for.
In a sense, basically making them a work-study student like I was, and perhaps you were, and everybody else. So, yeah. Hey, last question before we go, because I don't want a time limit. What does this say? Why is it that university presidents, it seems, are against it? It seems nonsensical to me. Because they can be, they would get more students who want to be at their university because they know they're going to get compensated.
So let's talk about what the concept of amateurism means, right?
Yes.
There's a pristine impression that amateurism means a selfless young person playing for the joy of sports. And we all would aspire to that. But the reality is college sports is nothing like that. College sports, because of the advent of television, has these massive deals. Universities have massive deals with the Nikes and Adidas's and Reeboks of the world. They have massive sponsorship deals. I did the marketing for the University of Hawaii for a number of years, and we went out and got everyone we could in the islands to sponsor the football program and sponsor the athletic department. So the whole pristine sense of being in an ivory tower, that cow left the barn a long time ago.
Leigh, this has been a lot of fun, and look forward to talking again.
Go Bears!
Go Bears! You think we can get back on track?
I don't know. We were getting so cocky there when we were 4-0.
Yeah.
It's like we went traditional football power, but the fact that the quarterback who was playing very well got hurt is sort of a little bit of an impediment.
It's kind of like, it seems like so very Cal. It's like we're, you know what I mean, on a run and everything, and then it's like, oh man. Hey, did you see Mike Silver out roaring out the crowd before? There's a video going around of him doing what Mike does.
Those ex-Daily Cal sports editors have gone on the fame, fortune, and the American dream.
Well said. I'll end it on that note. Great to see you, Leigh.
Okay, thanks, Zennie.
You got it.
Bye-bye.
See ya. Hey, that was great, Leigh.